Hey everybody, Mr. Dustin here. Welcome to Bible class today. Now, if you remember on Sunday, we were talking about the impossible, how God blessed Abraham and Sarah with their son Isaac at an impossible time. Well, I want to keep talking about that idea and how whenever God made a promise to him, it took a long time to fulfill, but we wish it would happen immediately. Nevertheless, he came through in a big way, and he did, by human standards, the impossible. So let's go ahead and get into our Bible class for today, and I want to start with an experiment. So this experiment is one that I remember whenever I was in, I think, 5th grade. And I was always fascinated by it, and I have always wanted to do it. And so we're going to do it today. And it's a beautiful illustration of the impossible, how something seems impossible to us, but there's a way for it to be done. So let's go do that experiment, but we're going to go outside to do it because it involves fire. So for this experiment, the idea is we're going to try to get this egg inside of this bottle. But as you can see, it doesn't fit. How can that happen? If you will, it's impossible. The egg is bigger than the opening of the bottle. Just won't fit. So what can we do? Any ideas? So we're doing this outside because we're going to use fire. Put this down into the bottle, get some fire inside of the bottle. So I've got my lighter and my things. Okay, fire going. Check it out. Woo! And it got inside the bottle. See? Pretty cool, huh? So how does that work? It's the impossible basically happening. So the idea is that the fire inside, it breathes the oxygen in the bottle and it creates a vacuum and it sucks that egg down inside. Pretty neat, huh? The impossible. I've always been so fascinated with that experiment, just the whole boom, the egg pops inside of the bottle, and how does that work, right? Obviously, I explained it's a function of something that you'll learn about in school later called physics. It's because of the breathing of oxygen and the vacuum that it creates and all those things. But the point is, it seemed impossible to us. The egg wouldn't fit. And in fact, I only had one boiled egg. Otherwise, you could try to smash it, and all you would do is smash the egg, and it wouldn't go in. But something that God created, the way fire works, the way it breathes, all those things, the way God created it to work, it worked. And I think that's an important thing for us to remember. But so at this point in Abraham's life, finally, 100 years old, and he has his son. And at some point during this time, we're going to read from Genesis chapter 21 today. But at some point during this time, there's this event that occurs with Abimelech. Now, we know very clearly Abraham has been blessed by God. He has wealth. He has much livestock. He has a beautiful wife. Many servants. He has a lot of things. God has richly blessed him. And he has richly blessed Sarah by giving them their son Isaac. He laughs, Yitzhak, right? This child, he fulfilled the covenant. He fulfilled that promise that, if you remember, dropping those were half-inch nuts into, it was clear syrup. I don't know if you figured out what it was, but dropping it in there to make it sink slowly. He fulfilled that promise, even though it took a long time for it to happen. What I think is interesting about that is the fact that you were born, the fact that you have life at all. You, is a blessing from God. In a sense, it's a promise from God. I guarantee you that in your families, you have been prayed for. Your family has very much been blessed because you are a part of that family. Don't forget that. Your family, I believe, is richer, fuller, because you are a part of it. You are a blessing. Now, I want to read this, like I said, from Genesis chapter 21. This starts in verse 22. We're going to read all the way down through verse 34. This is what happens between Abraham and Abimelech. So at that time, Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his forces, said to Abraham, God is with you in everything you do. Now swear to me here before God that you will not deal falsely with me or my children or my descendants. Show to me and the country where you now reside as a foreigner the same kindness that I have shown you. Abraham said, I swear it. Then Abraham complained to Abimelech about a well of water that Abimelech's servants had seized. But Abimelech said, I don't know who's done this. You did not tell me, and I heard about it only today. So Abraham brought sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelech, and the two men made a treaty. Abraham set apart 7 ewe lambs from the flock, and Abimelech asked Abraham, what is the meaning of these 7 ewe lambs that you have set apart by themselves? He replied, accept these 7 lambs from my hand as a witness that I dug this well. So that place was called Beersheba, because the 2 men swore an oath there. Beersheba means the well of the oath. After the treaty had been made at Beersheba, Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his forces, returned to the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there he called on the name of the Lord, the eternal God. And Abraham stayed in the land of the Philistines for a long time. I think it's interesting that even Abimelech was very clearly able to see God has blessed you. He said, in everything you do. He knew that Abraham was blessed by God. And so they made this treaty. I think, honestly, that Abimelech was a little bit concerned that Abraham was more powerful than him. He was maybe a little bit afraid. But what's interesting, Abraham planted a tamarisk tree. Now, I don't know a lot about the tamarisk tree, but one thing that I have heard in my studies is that a tamarisk tree is a tree that you plant not for yourself, but for your grandchildren. It takes a long time to grow, and they call it the salt cedar. And literally, underneath that tree, the shade is supposed to be cooler than other trees. So he literally planted a very good shade tree that would be for his grandchildren. That's confidence in the coming generations. That's a very neat thing. Now, it says he stayed in that land a very long time. And I think that's important because we know that Abraham had quite a few more years yet to live. I believe he died when he was 174. I'm pretty sure that's right. Anyway, so what I want for you to do is kind of talking about this idea of God's blessing and how he blesses your family because you are in it. So I want for you to get a picture of your family. This is my family. This is me and Miss Megan. I want you to get a picture like this. Maybe you have to print it out. That's okay. And get some paper that you're going to put behind it and glue it to. And what I want you to do, decorate around that picture and maybe even write down some of the things that are blessings in your life and how your family is a blessing. And I want you to include things that are special to you because you are special in God's sight. So special that he sent his son into this world to die for you. But not only for you, but for everybody. So that's what our lesson is today. And if you do that, I would like to see pictures of what you've done. Maybe you can put those pictures in the comments so we can all see. So thank you for coming to Bible class today. I hope that you know that you are a blessing in the life of your family. And I hope you had fun doing our experiment to see the impossible. Look forward to seeing you again on Sunday. I hope you have a great week. Take care. So if you would like to have tried this experiment at home, the things that you would need, obviously a glass bottle, since we're going to have fire in there. You don't want it to melt. You will need some kind of maybe paper, and then something to light it with, and of course, you'll need a hard-boiled egg. The important part, so the egg doesn't actually fit through the opening of that bottle.